You're listening to the Westminster-Canterbury Tales podcast, creating community to foster joy and well-being. Thanks for listening.
Well, welcome to Tell Me a Story with Ben Fraser, and this is coming from Westminster-Canterbury on Chesapeake Bay. And today we have the privilege of interviewing Phil Haug, and welcome.
Welcome. And it's always Phillip Haug.
Phillip, okay.
That's the name my mother gave me, and I've seen no reason to change it.
And you want that, and I don't blame you. We're glad you're here. And I've known Phillip for, a few years now. How long have you been here?
Been 5 years.
5 years. So I've probably known you. I came about the same time. Yeah, you live here and I work here, so I'm glad to know you, and I've seen you in several of our classes and around. First, tell us a little bit about where you're born and growing up. Just a little bit about your family, just to get to know you a little bit. Phillip?
Well, I, like many in America, am a child of immigrants, both on my mother's side and my father's side. I inherited the name Haug because it was the name of the family farm, as my great-grandfather was emigrated here during the potato famines, and they were starving.
Okay.
And they settled in Minnesota, established businesses, established a bank, still have a large implement business, a very large John Deere operation that my cousin's son now runs. My mother, her family, emigrated here mostly from England. Came in a boat. John Robinson was the preacher.
Oh,
and
my.
We call them the Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Now, John never came here, but his son Isaac did. And John stayed back and managed to send more ships.
Wow.
So I have those kind of roots of making do with what you have when you have nothing other than your wits about you on how to live.
Right.
So that's there's been a benefit to that, and it leads you to look inwardly for ways to attack the world and live in the world. Not to expect other people to do things for you as much as to be an agent of change and hope and all of that.
Oh, that's great.
In my early life, I was one of 6 children.
All right.
My father was employed by what we call Del Monte Corporation today.
Sure.
Which had large agricultural holdings in California. So I grew up on a ranch.
In California?
Central California.
Yeah.
Merced County, one of the 5 poorest counties in the state.
Yeah.
Incidentally.
Yeah.
The major part of the ranch was in peaches, and then we had 600 acres also in figs.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's labor intensive to operate that kind of thing. So I grew up in the company of people of a wide range of caste type.
Yeah.
The men who did most of the variable seasonal work traveled as single wanderers up and down the state following crops. I grew up amidst the poorest of the poor, and it helped me have an appreciation that not everybody's blessed like some of us are.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very mixed society of people of power and wealth and people who were struggling with basic survival.
That's right.
All kinds of people.
Yeah.
I was never afraid to be around poor people.
Yeah.
Or people who were different. Because that's what we were around all the time.
Totally understand that, yeah.
I was blessed with being pretty bright. So when I finished my high school education, I went to university to study civil engineering. I went to the University of Nevada. It had an accredited school. And being a country boy, I was ill-equipped to deal with the cultural shift to going to my own university, University of California at Berkeley.
Yeah.
I visited there for several times, applied there, was accepted there, but chose the simpler life of northern Nevada and the down-home feel.
Yeah, well, that was a very fortunate thing, as it turns out, isn't it?
Well, it was a place that I felt I wanted to go and would be well cared for. And
well, you met somebody there, though.
Oh, I did. That's where I met my wife, the woman who became my wife.
Yeah.
And that was 64 years ago.
Really?
Tomorrow. We were married, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is beautiful, actually.
We were just kind of soulmates then, and we still are. We raised 6 children.
Wow,
We raised 4 children.
4 children.
Have 13 grandchildren and another 15 great-grandchildren this time in life.
Wow.
So God's blessed us with that.
Yeah.
So I'm used to being around people.
Let me just ask you one question. Now, your parents had 6 kids. Where were you in that process?
I was number 2. My brother was number 1, older brother. We were 13 months apart.
Oh,
and we
wow.
kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
And he went on to university in Cal Poly.
Sure.
University of Nevada. Both of us went to school.
Yeah, that's great.
Our next youngest sisters also went to college.
Oh, wow.
We came rising out of the dust.
Yeah. Now, did you have other relatives besides your family, like your parents' uncles or aunts or anything?
I had lots of them.
Okay, and they all lived in that area?
No. Half of them lived in California, and the other half lived in Minnesota.
Oh, my.
See, there's 2 families.
Yeah.
My father was the middle child of 11.
Oh, wow.
So he was.
And he was Norwegian?
Yeah, his parents were both full-blooded Norwegian.
And what about on your mother's side?
She was one of 7.
Okay.
And
was she Norwegian as well?
No. She's English.
English, all
mostly.
right.
Her grandfather married her grandmother on a sailing ship in San Francisco Bay.
Wow.
In 1850.
Wow.
And they came and married, and she was Scotch-Irish.
Yeah.
So I still wear the Irish kilt in honor of a great-grandmother who was Scotch-Irish from Rathfriland, Ireland. I can't be sure the count's correct, but I have 48 first cousins, and I knew most of them.
Wow.
24 on one side and 24 on the other.
Wow.
So came from a very big family. And even then, as she was 10 years ago, on my mother's side, we'd have a family picnic. Well, 100 people show up.
Yeah. So you went to University of Nevada. You met your future wife, and eventually.
I had this funny dream that I thought I love the mountains, I love the rivers, I love fishing, I love the outdoors, and I thought I would settle down as a quiet engineer.
So you got out of University of Nevada, and
I went looked forward, Ann and I thought we'll have a nice, quiet country life on the edge. 6 months later, I got an invitation to take on a position in San Francisco, which was the regional office. Yeah. And I went to San Francisco. We moved there, and life turned on that moment. When I learned to program. This is back when computers were just starting to be used commercial, 1960.
Okay.
And as we said, I had my own. We rented a computer that we ran the engineering calculations on. That had vacuum tubes.
Wow.
I learned to program it. There were no educational programs. We just read the technical manuals and figured out how to make it work.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So you went to San Francisco and you worked with computers for the Forest Service?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, California is a big state. 25% of the state's national forest.
Yeah.
And we had under construction almost 500 miles of road every year. And many of those were just field logging roads.
Yeah.
But that's the work I was involved with. Got my license to practice. And then I started to get more interested in not how you build roads, but why.
Okay.
And that inquiry led me over time into forest management, into a lot of other areas.
So how long did you stay in San Francisco?
I was there 7 years. Then I was 3 years in Berkeley.
Okay.
In a research station. And at that time, I was the most senior technical specialist with computers in that entire agency.
They were all pretty young.
we were kids in our early 20s.
Right.
And somehow we earned the trust of the leadership that were much older than we were.
Yeah, well,
My gosh.
computers are a young person's thing. That's true. Still, in many ways.
Consider that the machine I did a lot of calculations on, we rented it for $40 a minute.
Oh, my. Whoa.
And it was worth every nickel of it.
Yeah. So you went to Berkeley, and did you change jobs, or did you just...
I worked with, I was invited to come and be part of an in-house think tank.
Ah.
And they were located at there's a Forest and Range Experiment Station at Berkeley, just
All right.
off the university campus.
Okay.
So that was the years of the time when Vietnam was very much on everybody's mind, and especially at places like University of California.
That's right. A lot of protests and stuff.
Protests.
Yeah.
It was a trying time for a lot of us to see young people, our own peers, either holding bayonets and lighting up or throwing rocks.
Yeah.
We used to go and
Berkeley was right in the heart of all that.
we'd go up on the ceiling on the floor where we worked, and most every day to see where they're dropping tear gas.
Oh,
now.
my. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a trying time.
So then what happened? You were there 3 years.
I was there. Got into one of those phone calls. And the phone call was for me to consider coming back to Washington, D.C. and doing some specialized work there.
So you moved then from Berkeley, California to Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
And what was your position there in
That
D.C.?
was a good, interesting question. I was a technical specialist on an information system.
Okay.
A massive information system.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was it about, roads again, or was it some other part?
This all happened in stages.
Right.
But I was involved with the strategic planning for the agency.
Okay.
For the entire Forest Service.
Wow. In the United States.
In the United States. By then, and part of my time there, I was having some difficulties, and I went and talked to the management. And I said, I need to know more if I'm going to be helpful to you.
Yeah.
And would you give me permission to go get an education? So I applied for it and got a grant and went to MIT for a year.
You're ambitious.
It's a great school.
It's an amazing school. It's one of the best in the United States. And
yeah, it's on anybody's list. It's very
there.
Distinguished.
Yeah, MIT.
As they say, it's like taking a drink out of a fire hose.
Yes. And you apparently took a big gulp.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the people I wanted to meet were there.
Yeah.
I was involved in change and long-term strategic planning, and they had some people that were also interested in that subject. They wrote books like Limits to Growth and things like that.
Yes.
And we had big computer models of it.
Okay.
I went and spent a year with those guys.
Oh, that's great.
And that was priceless.
And it was worthwhile. It helped you, and it helped the United States.
Oh, great deal. Yeah.
So you went back to your job after that year of study, and how long did you stay there?
I stayed there. I was in Washington 17 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Except for the 1 year off.
That's 27 years, because you were about 6 years in San Francisco, and then 3 years in Berkeley, and 27
I was 27 years in Forest Service.
Yeah.
And then I took early retirement.
Okay. And it's just been nothing. You've done nothing since then but lay back and fish and.
Well, yes.
You and I both know that's not true.
I've had a heart for a born again Christian, as you might expect.
Yeah.
I have a heart for mission. I'd helped plant 2 churches by then, one in California and one in Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
And Bill Clinton was in the White House.
Yeah.
And he and I would not have gotten along. He made some changes that I found difficult to. He politicized the agency.
Right.
Much more so than it was already.
Yeah.
And fired some of the best people in the field.
So you saw the inside of what was going on there, and that didn't.
Well, I had strategic planning, major systems,
Yeah.
and administrative law were the areas of my interest and concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you retired, and then what did you do?
Well, I went back to Africa.
You went back. So you'd been to Africa.
Oh, yes, I'd been there. I was part of a group that were helping the Diocese of Western Tanganyika live in the present.
Yeah.
The bishop had been asking for 10 years, can you send us an accountant and mechanic?
Yeah.
So
Is this the Anglican bishop?
What?
Anglican?
The Anglican bishop.
Yeah.
And so I was part of a group that we got our heads together, and we raised the funds to supply to send both of them there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you went to Tanzania, or at that time it was called Tanganyika or something like that?
It was known as Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Historically, it was Tanganyika, but
yeah.
when the Europeans drew the lines, they included Zanzibar.
That's right.
And so that's where the Tanzanian comes from.
Okay, great.
It's Tanganyika plus Zanzibar.
Yeah. So you went to Tanzania, and they didn't have computers there at that time, so you had to just be consulting with them, right?
No, my connection was I was part of a coalition of churches that set aside the financing to send people, send missionaries.
Oh, I see.
I'm in the sending business.
All right.
So we had raised the funds.
Yeah.
And recruited a person to go.
Yeah.
And the reason I was going was the first person we sent was to teach auto mechanics.
Okay.
Or basically motorcycle mechanics.
Yeah.
Because the diocese had some motorbikes.
Yeah.
But there was few people around that understood how to take care of. Found a person in the community who was willing to go, wanted to go.
Uh-huh.
And when I went, he'd been there for several months, and I took supplies in.
Okay.
As you know, if you're sending stuff across state borders in parts of the world, not everything gets there.
No.
It gets lost.
They take a little tithe of each one. Yeah.
We packed 21 boxes that would fill the back of a Cessna 210.
Oh, wow.
And I sat next to the pilot, and we took them in.
Wow. How exciting that
1,000 miles across from Nairobi.
Okay, so you flew in from Kenya, Nairobi, over into Tanzania. And where did you go, Arusha, or what part of Tanzania did you fly into?
I flew into, entered Tanzania in Mwanza.
Okay.
Mwanza is on the shore of Lake Victoria.
Oh, wow.
Interesting story there. As you would know, when you go into Tanzania, they have three people have to check you in.
Uh-huh.
Immigration.
Yeah.
Customs.
Right.
And monetary.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
That's three different signatures you get on your passport before that it's in the country.
Yeah.
And there were only two of them were there. We actually landed the plane.
Yeah.
Most people probably never landed at an airport like this. It was the airport was a single runway.
Yep.
And had a little tiny building in one end of it. That was it. And they don't have too many. They don't have it. It's not heavy traffic.
Yeah. Not in that area.
So the guy I'm going to see, the immigration person, he samples for what I've got in the airplane, and he's okay with it. The money people, he said, but the immigration guy comes late, and he is angry.
Huh.
And the reason is because he's the one that has to approve you first.
Oh.
And he says, how long are you going to stay? I said, a month. He says, I give you 2 weeks. He's got the capability to do that. I said, I'm going to visit friends, and they will be so disappointed. I don't challenge his authority.
Right,
I just say,
No.
I'm going to see friends.
And they will be disappointed.
And they will be very disappointed. Okay. He steps.
Yeah. Sometimes a little bit of money kind of opens it up too.
So far I've managed to avoid that.
Good for you. Good for you.
Find ways around it.
I wish I could say that, but I can't. So, okay. So
anyway, partly I want some time to think about what I was doing. I took a year off, came back home, and I served as a year as a volunteer in my parish.
Okay.
And went through the process for ordination.
And this is in D.C.?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you had to go back to school in seminary, right?
Yeah, I went to 3 years of seminary.
What school? Where?
Virginia Theological Seminary.
There you go.
Alexandria.
Yeah, I have friends that go there. Yeah.
And I took some courses at Catholic U. They have an agreement with
Sure. Yeah.
great scholars over there.
Yeah, that's true.
That. So I went back, and then I served. Long story short, I served 26 years in parish ministry.
Whoa. So you're a minister and a scientist and
engineer. Yeah.
Engineer. Yeah. Wow. So tell me about that time in ministry. What was that like? And where did you serve?
Well, I served several places, but mostly I served in transitional ministry in Kentucky.
Okay.
I was invited to come and and help with the church, the congregation that was gone through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And I had experience in building 2 congregations from scratch as a layperson.
Uh-huh.
So I had some understanding of what was the matter.
Yeah.
What I didn't appreciate early on was how deep the pains of separation were.
Yeah. They
They had lost their building. Long story to that, but anyway, they sold their aging building, but unable to care for it.
Yeah.
And I thought it would take me 4 years to help them move it ahead onto a reconstruction.
Sure.
I stayed 8.
Yeah.
And they were, at the end of 8 years, they were where I thought they would be at 4.
So you...
I had a lot to learn about how to care and comfort people who were going through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And that experience turned out to be worthwhile. I did a lot of it. I served as a transitional ministry for 17 years.
So tell me, what did you learn about people who are transitioning, who have been hurt, and maybe their church or organization, whatever kind it is, changed in that way? How do you handle them? How do you approach them?
Be ready to listen.
Yeah.
Be ready to listen.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that cries out in the hearing of the Spirit, is can I talk to somebody about my story?
Yeah.
And what I'm going through. And the parish I was in at one point was split in 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Bishop, I'll stay, but I thought 80% of my time was just listening to people.
Yeah. In Berkeley and then in San Francisco, Berkeley, D.C., which are pretty powerhouse areas in the United States. But then also, you were ministering for part of that time, and even before you became an official minister. What did you learn about children and raising children?
I think it's one of the most important things we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if there's anything that I had struggles with, was making suitable time and space in my life to be there for them.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Grandchildren?
They've all done well.
Good.
God's gift. I mean, they've all done well.
That's wonderful.
Well.
Yeah.
But as my oldest daughters will tell you, they and my son were raised by different parents.
Yeah, I can understand.
We learned along the way.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
I would have been a lot easier to live with if I'd gone to seminary right after. I think I wasn't one of the easiest person to live around.
Yeah.
For those years. Yeah.
Well, perfectly is off the table for all of us, I think.
They used to ask me when I first went to San Francisco. They'd say, "Does your wife work?"
Yeah.
I says, "We have 3 young daughters at home. She works all the time."
Which is very true.
Which was right. Why you bet she does. She never stops.
Yeah.
With 3 girls.
Did you Who's your oldest friend?
Well, this is a hard question because most of my friends that are really close friends have died.
Yeah.
I've reached that stage. I remember having a conversation with my grandfather one day. He was a cattle rancher. He ranched cattle. He ran
in California.
Had 10,000 acres.
Oh my!
And raised Herefords.
Yeah.
He said, Philip, one of the hardest things now is all of my friends have died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people who I've been closest to over the years have all died. I mean, we've had couples. We were part of groups that met in our homes every Friday night for dinner, like for 15 years.
Yeah. So you're very close to them.
Yeah. Well, they've all died.
Okay, but you still have friends. Who are your friends now? You don't have to tell me about all of them, but tell me about one or two.
I have no really close friends here. I have a lot of people I appreciate being around. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been in communities where we were very close to each other.
Yeah.
And that's part of a yearning that I'm having here is that I knew this would be a challenge, and it is. It's like my Christmas card list. It's getting fewer and fewer every year. It's how many come off.
Yeah, but you can make new friends.
That's right. That's why I came here. That's why I
you're
came
here.
to Westminster-Canterbury on Chesapeake Bay.
There you go.
They make new. I mean, we're having dinner with friends tomorrow night.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's great.
People that were here when we met when we first came, and they came out at the
wonderful.
same time.
That's great.
So,
anything else that we've missed that you want to talk about?
I have a story that it's short, but it characterizes some of the issues that I find were important in life, and it's in the category of making friends, and I consider professional colleagues as friends.
Yes, of course.
When I went to Kentucky, I was ordained. I had served in parishes here. I was going to Kentucky in Appalachia. So among the things I wanted to do was go around to meet other pastors in the town where I was, in Richmond. They're my ecumenical partners. I look upon them as ecumenical partners.
Sure. It's beautiful.
Whatever stripe they are.
Right.
We're partners. So I was going through the list and going around to different homes. And I came to one, among others, nobody was home. It was for the AME church. And Patrick, I knew about her, wanted to meet her, talk to her personally. So I went to the church, it was busy, went to her house, no one there. She calls me, I make a date when I'm going to come over.
Sure.
I get to her door, and she opens it, gets the appointed time. And tears are streaming down her face.
Wow.
I said, is everything all right? I said, I can come another time. Oh, no. It's all right, come on in. And then she says some words that is seared into my consciousness. She says, you're the first person from the other side of town. Listen to the way she chooses the word. You're the first person from the other side of town who has ever been in my home.
Wow.
I said to myself, you have a lot to learn. And I guess that's a word I would conclude is reminiscent of what I know is important.
Yeah.
We need to take time and listen.
Yeah.
And be connected.
That's right.
And visit people where they are.
Absolutely.
She has, in the culture there, she has no way to come and look for me.
Yeah.
But I can go to her.
Right.
And over the years I was there, I built a close partnership with the African American leadership there.
Yeah.
But it started with that kind of call.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much for telling that story. Philip, we appreciate you sharing today. And you've lived a wonderful life, an exciting life. And we're glad you're here and part of this community.
Me too.
And we're going to continue to listen to you. So this is Ben Fraser saying thanks for listening to Tell Me a Story. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Westminster-Canterbury Tales podcast. Thank you for listening.